What is up, everyone? Good morning. Sorry, it took me a second to get up here. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Y'all hear and see me? If we're one of my wolves, we are using the YouTube chat, please. So let me know in YouTube chat. Did not mean to do that. Sorry. Okay, sweet. Sweet, we're working. All right. Okay, so let's get into it right away. First of all, big congrats to a lot of you. Nailed BNZI yesterday. I talked about this one on Monday, right? I talked about it on Monday. Really nice move on BNZI yesterday. Third day surge type idea, though it did break down its day one support and its day two support into the afternoon on day two. It doesn't really matter. We're seeing a lot of these things on day threes squeeze regardless. Look at the volume profile, y'all. Right? At the end of the day, look at the volume profile. We keep talking about this, and I think there's a big edge here right now in these day two still. As long as we keep having these sorts of moves, I keep talking about it. The day ones, they're great. You know, this reverse split pump went from the twos, you know, to 8 on its day one move. If we get into, and this is a daily chart on BNZI, okay? Reverse split pump. If you didn't see it, go back to my lives. This one from 2 days ago, from Monday. Okay, I talk about this ticker specifically. I talk about it being my number one watch for the week, basically. Okay, just based off everything that we've seen recently. And if you get into this one, look at this. Here's the 5-minute chart, right? You can see a pretty clean downtrend. It does break yesterday. Okay. This was the support that had been setting up. They broke it down 2 days ago as well. A little bit, just barely. 450s, got down to the 4s, but held after hours. Let's see. The big thing on these is whether or not they're going to do a liquidity trap, right? Whether or not they suck in a bunch of shorts first and then squeeze it on day 3, right? Day 3. Again, if you're one of my wolves, we are sorry, we're on the charts, but we're using the YouTube chat. Your YouTube window is blocking the chart. No longer is it going to do that. It's not what was going on. Here's BNZI. Thanks, guys. My bad. Put this here so I can see. Volume tells the story. We always talk about it. Okay. On these third day surge moves, the idea for me is swing day 2. Okay. You can buy gap up day 3 too. You just got to be careful, because to me, when I'm trading a first green day and I'm nailing some sort of support level, I'm looking to sell back in highs. Anyways, this ended up going to 11s yesterday. Okay. And squeezing really nicely. Let me check this out real fast with me. Let's see if they've got it here. I don't know if they have it on this ticker. Yeah, watch this. Here's BNZI's short volume, the FINRA data. Okay, look at this. Look what happened, right? Ton of short volume on that big green volume day, the big, huge green candle day. Look, bunch of volume that says 18 or so mil in short volume. That's September 20th, right? Yesterday, not that much. Okay. There wasn't that much volume yesterday. So while there was some short volume, it was drastically less, right? And then again yesterday, look, short volume. So you're seeing short squeeze. And you're seeing a bunch of shorts pile into low floats. And then from a liquidity standpoint, not being able to cover. That's what it looks like to me. All right, that's what's going on with this. From a there's a very fundamental thing that's driving these setups at the moment. Okay, look at the volume. It tells the story as long as I'm seeing huge volume day one moves, even if it looks way weaker than you would imagine on day two. As long as I see volume drop, look at this, guys. Explain this to me, okay? Smash the like too. This is really, 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 really important. And if you can get grips on this, and really honestly, for those who aren't profitable yet, or if you've been struggling a lot to figure out setups, okay, this is a great place to look for some pretty high odds, amazing moves from a risk reward standpoint right now. But the key is this decline in volume on day two. Okay. The decline in volume on day two. Understood? Let me know in chat, please. Okay. That being said, what do I do with it now? Not much, right? Oh, did they do an offering too yesterday? Is that what happened here? I'll find out for myself. This is what I use, okay? Remember this across all setups. And I come on here and talk about this all the time, right? If you're trying to learn small cap, if you're trying to learn to trade stocks, which you should be, I don't care what you're trading. If you're a futures trader, if you're a Forex trader, that's great. Love it. At least you're trading. You should be learning other assets and other instruments outside of those, in my opinion, if you're looking for edge and you're looking for other ways to trade. In fact, I myself am looking outside of what I trade now as well. You know, I'm looking myself into some futures ideas and stuff like that just for the future in case there's a good opportunity once in a while there, right? Which is what it seems to be for me as far as all the research I've done on futures, okay, which is really, really kind of tough to find good quality non-chat GBT influencer information. So that being said, third day surge is a great place to understand. This is dilution tracker. This is what I use for fundamentals. Okay. People think fundamentals don't matter. I say, if you're trying to do what I do at least and find edge to the long side, they matter so much. Okay. It's a big part of what I do because the technicals don't tell the whole story here. And in fact, but once you understand the fundamentals, it actually paints a picture for you. And then you're able to understand big picture, what's happening here, what you're trading, okay, from a big picture perspective. And what are we trading? Well, we're trading the worst stocks on the planet. We're trading the sketchiest stocks on the planet. We're trading the stocks that have the worst earnings on the planet. That's why they are where they are. If they had great earnings, they would be big cap stocks, but they don't. They have shite earnings or no earnings. So, or, you know, a lot of them are shell companies, biotechs, one drug biotechs, shell company SPACs out of China, Chinese scams, a lot of different stuff, right? That we're trading. So you really have to understand the fundamentals here. And I promise you, they're not that difficult. Okay. Who here's had like a payday, who's been down in the dumps and had to do or knows about payday loans or like title loans, or just ever had a really crappy loan, you know? Even now, with interest rates the way they are, you want to get a car loan, they're kind of crappy loans right now, right? Right? And they're paying a lot of interest. That's what happens with these companies, okay? They need money to survive. BNZI, they need money just to get through the next quarter, okay? That's why overall risk here is high, right? Overall dilution risk, they're offering ability. That means how many shares can they dump is high. Overhead supply is high. That means they've already got shares to dump higher. Historically, do they dump? Yes, it's high. Their cash need, do they need it? It's high, right? Does this mean I don't trade these? No, look, they need cash. They go from 2 to 10. That's what happens. That's what's amazing about this. When they need cash or they have something fundamentally that needs to happen, they put out a PR, right? And if you can really settle into this, if you're a newer trader, I didn't know this for so fucking long. Please smash the like. It's going to help you so much, I promise. In terms of people are like, oh, trading psychology and this and that. But how is your trading psychology going to be good when you actually believe that this company is going to cure cancer next week? Do you know what I'm saying? How are you going to objectively gauge price action when you believe that the PRs themselves are some amazing news? You know what I'm trying to say? And then you cling on to that for dear life. And then you're adding because you have found the next Microsoft or something stupid like that, right? Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. If you understand, in other words, if you understand just how bad these companies are, that some of them, go look at their address. I've seen companies, listed companies, and you go to their address, and it's literally someone's house. It's someone's house address, and it's like a small house somewhere in a ghetto. Seriously, I'm not kidding. You go to the address, you're like, oh my God, it's a strip mall. You know, and not in a nice area of town, right? So when you understand that, okay, there's a game being played here. What is the game? They pump, the companies, they pump, right? This is the split. They did that because prior to the split, we talked about this on Monday. So I'm not going to rehash this. Go back to Monday's live, please. Again, it's just right here. And I got a bunch of these. Go watch. I do my best to, because the markets are changing so much, so quickly, and the patterns are changing, and the setups change, and I have a bunch of lives, so you can see different adaptations and different ideas. But across all of the lives, I try to ram this home for you. Okay, these companies suck. They make no money. Some of you make more money, are more net positive just from your 9 to 5 than these companies are. Which, that's a lot of companies, don't get me wrong. Small businesses operate in debt and stuff like that. A lot of huge companies operate in huge amounts of debt. I'm not saying that that's anything special. I'm just saying the ones that we deal with here, if they are small cap, or small cap for a damn reason. Does that make sense? Thanks, Jules. Yeah, I got a little haircut. Feeling fresh. Feeling good. Okay, let's get to today's tickers anyways, and what I'm watching. A little bit slower scan at the moment, okay? A little bit slower scan, and I'm seeing basically just like kind of bargain, bottom of the bin bargain hunts at the moment. Sub 50-cent stocks. ATCH, Atlas Clear Holdings, looks like some kind of SPAC uplisting or merger back in November of 2023. Hasn't traded that much. Big dump from 10s to, on low volume in February, to a buck. Try to hold a buck. Sub a buck, some tiny amounts of volumes came in, and now they're moving 100% today to 40 cents or so. So that's just a daily breakdown really quick. I'm trying to see, it says float is 12.5 mil. First of all, the fact that they're orange on my scan here means that they're Amex, they're not, or they're NYSE, I'm sorry, they're Amex, they're not NYSE or a NASDAQ. Do they have a PR? No, there's no PR. Do y'all have anything news-wise? If not, this is just a bottom bounce pump. And it's got 60 million in volume, right? So it's just kind of the flavor of the morning. Okay. This is a 4 a.m. spike. This is a 4 a.m. pump on ATCH. I don't know who bought it at 4 a.m., but people bought it at 4 a.m. this morning, right? And if you look, what's important to me, if we kind of go higher up on the volume chain here, I'm sorry, higher up in time frame. So we're at 30 minutes now. Oh, there's 5 million shares traded there for the first 30 minutes. But it's this 5 minutes that I'm kind of trying to get to you to see volume wise. 2 million. Interesting. Interesting opening. Anyone have any news from ATCH by chance? Again, Cavill third day surge. Yep, been watching for that as well. Again, it's an old Morris pump. It's kind of an issue. Probably some bag holders there. Yes, though, right? Look at the volume profile here. Okay, so here's another one I'll be watching this morning. And it doesn't, this is not as pretty as I like to see these, to be honest, right? I like to see a decent first green day first, and then see it kind of hold up. But again, I've seen variations of this now this year, every variation of this. And this is holding up enough, and the volume profile is good enough for me to say, potentially, yeah. Potentially we will see this move today, right? The idea for me is that we're toying with like green, red, green already right here up in this area, like 120 area, right? Where did they close yesterday? 117, it looks like, is green, red, green. Okay. So for me, the idea is something like this, right? And I was looking at this yesterday afternoon, but from a risk standpoint, if it can hold this sort of area, it would make me happy. Other thing is it's a buck hold here. So there is the buck, right? There is the buck. I didn't see a recent split on them or anything like that. So, but they had M&A news, right? They had M&A news. Damn, thanks guys. My bad. I keep sucking at. I keep forgetting to do this. My bad, y'all. Here's Cavill. Sometimes this happens to me. Sometimes. This is the area I was watching for risk, but if I'm using if I'm using like a $1.09, I would want to see a buck hold, really, at the end of the day, like I said. So I would either use $1, and if I'm using $1, I usually don't use a flat dollar. I'll use like 90 something cents. And for me, guys, if it goes to like 90 cents, it's almost dead. At least how I'm looking at this thing. This is what I was talking about, this 90 cent level. You'll see 90 cents often be pretty key if a buck is going to hold. That to me is kind of the marker. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I believe they're dilutive too, right? They could also break down a little bit. We'll see how this works out this morning for sure. Yeah, thanks guys for my wolves in Discord. If I'm not on, I appreciate you for that. It actually beeps at me, so. Okay. So this is probably my top watch for today at the moment. It's going to be Cavill. Okay. Nice huge volume profile. If we go to their short volume, it'll probably show you the same sort of thing. Right? If you look at this short volume a few days ago, 60 million. Makes sense, my friends? Please let me know. Please smash the like. Okay. That's the whole basis of what's happening here, is that there's a fundamental thing going on where there are too many shorts, and they, in my opinion, and this is not short interest. There's a difference, right? This is not days to cover. This is not short interest. This is just short volume. A lot of this, which is also going to be covered, right? When they buy a lot of shorts and algorithms as well. If there are algorithms that are short selling, which there are, will be covering day of, a lot of them, but a lot of them aren't, obviously, which is why these are moving. And then you see them step in, they've stepped in, they create squeeze on day one. If you look at Cavill, we'll get back to their actual chart. It wasn't the best squeeze for me. I think let me see, what did they do? But they did, right? They did squeeze in the morning. They did have a nice push from low ones to high ones, almost 100%, okay? So for me, that's the case, okay? The case is there should still be some short volume left, and if it goes green and holds, it should at least push. $1.30, $1.40 would be what I do in terms of risk reward. And this is what's so beautiful about this setup, my friends. And I should not be here giving this away for free, but I love you guys, so smash a like. You know, I would have died for this information when I started. Instead, I had to literally have 15, 16, 17 hour study days trying to figure out what the hell, how do I buy these things? You know, what's going on here? Like, what is the big picture? Fundamentally, I knew there was something, you know, and then you get into it, you get into the filings and the fundamentals, and it paints this story that's so clear that I don't think there's more places to find edge in any market personally on a daily basis, especially in markets like this, when we have bull market like this, unencumbered bull market. Okay. And small cap has actually, believe it or not, lagged behind the overall markets. If you go to like IWM and like the Russell index, if you look at stuff like that, you know, we're not it has not, it's about to, it looks like it's trying to now, but it's still not broken out to all-time highs, small cap. And remember what I was talking about? We had, and I believe a big reason for that has to do with what happens fundamentally in our charts. Okay, markets are open now. Sorry, 1 second. Oh, shit. Sorry, y'all. Wrong window. ATCH, I have no plans for right now. I always hope these things rip and create a nice first green day or third day surge for me at the moment. For gap and crap reversal idea, if it's going to do anything, I need it sub VWAP. Okay. If I'm buying day one, I need it sub VWAP. A lot of people are going to say buy it over VWAP. I think it's the dumbest thing ever, personally. This is too strong and it's in too strong of an area for me to want to buy it, which I always talk about. If I have a chart specifically, like when I get to a chart and it's down and it goes bottom left to top right and it's top right, I'm not that interested oftentimes. Just from a super duper basic visual standpoint. Does that make sense? I need it to get back to some sort of level of support for me. So there's ATCH. We'll see what that does. We've also got CERO, bigger float. It says 46.5. CERO, they've got a bunch of convertible preferred shares. This here, the blue, is the outstanding shares. And this is the how many shares they've got overhead to dump on you, okay? BBLG. Yeah, BBLG just popped a little bit here. Yeah, they're definitely working on a multi-day breakout here on BBLG. Okay, nice multi-day breakout working there. Let's see what they do with Cavill. For now, they're not running it yet. Let's see here. Questions, tickers, anything you guys got? Question, how does it feel to be named Roland? I don't know. Feels good. It's always felt good, I guess. Kind of unique. A lot of people call me Ronald. That's about the extent of the annoyance for me. Great question. Why, you have a son, you think about naming Roland? It's a good name. All right. So there's two ways, right? If I'm looking at Cavill, again, it's not perfect, but it's also fine for me. Would be to kind of work these lows, obviously low a day and lows from pre-market and lows from yesterday are holding okay. So I can start to build a position right now if I'd like, kind of get in the way of it, or I can wait till it goes green at $1.17 and play with it in that area once it's proven to me that there's going to be some volume coming in and stuff like that. Okay. And when I say volume coming in, it just needs to be a little bit abnormal, right? This is still kind of falling in line with the illiquid nature of yesterday's action so far. It's not on any radars yet. And that's the whole point of this setup is like all of these plays, like BNZI, for example, you have time. Okay. Now BNZI did, I believe, gap up big yesterday. So it was a little bit different, right? And I find that the best ones of these oftentimes are going to kind of present themselves in that nature, pre-market or after hours on the day that they're going to, like, if you look here, for example, this is BNZI yesterday at 8:30, right? It just did it. Okay. And again, also granted, this one went, 2 to 9 pre-market on its first day move. So let's take a quick peek around. I've got very first starter here on Cavill. A little bit chasey for me. That's why it's just 500 shares for now. Kind of into red green. Red green's coming up here, so we'll see if they can get through it or not. Still light on the bid and ask for now. Still gonna move kind of light. Limit up, halt is 135. Limit down is 90 cents. So I'm just kind of keeping that in mind. 115, 116. See this pull on ATCH? That's kind of what I'm talking about. When I want to be interested, here's red green now. Red green test on KAVL. It's gone green now. So like if you look at Cavill's daily chart now, and it won't be on people's scans this morning, all the new traders and stuff like that. It won't be on scans. In terms of like profit taking ideas for me on stuff like this, low buck, it'd be like $1.20s, $1.40s, $1.60s, $1.80s, and use the previous highs. In other words, is what I use for sizing out on this pattern. And then on the good ones, like you saw BNZI yesterday, that one obviously broke out. I'm not really seeing that on this chart for this company especially, but it's also, they had M&A news as opposed to, normally their news is just of this smoking cessation device that I've seen literally for 5 years and traded over and over and over again when they pump it. So this is a little bit different, I think. I could be wrong. A little bit of DD never hurts. $6 million in warrants. Final pricing was 153. We talked about that on Monday. They do have shares to dump. 153 was that line. Okay. No real definitive move or volume for now. I'm still watching this. KAVL. Thoughts on NVVE, possible third day surge also? Yeah, interesting chart, certainly. Interesting chart, certainly. Interesting volume profile. A little bit higher up than I'd like. I don't know. Is there a macro there? Have they been PRing and stuff like that? I haven't been watching that one. Questions? Will I be releasing any lessons on dilution tracker? Sure. But it's really simple. I mean, there's not that much to it, y'all. You know? All I look for is float. What I do is I look for float. Okay. I look to see what this float number says, and then I come in and so, for example, if we go to ATCH, okay, here's your ATCH right here. Okay. I look to see if the floats match. So this is 12.5 on my scan. For float, right? I have 4.35 for some reason on dilution tracker for float, which is definitely different. Convertible notes. Pretty much I go in here and I look for the prices at which they can dump. They'll show you those prices. Exercise price is generally speaking what I'm looking for, or conversion price is what I'm looking for. And then I look to see how many they have to dump, when they can dump them. It says it all right here. Look, convertible date, issue date, when they convertible, their last update, maturity date. If they're warrants, they'll let you know when they expire. Okay. Everything that you need is on this one page, generally speaking. But yeah, I'm absolutely going to do a more structured video lesson on it. 100%. I can do that. Nice reversal on ATCH. See that? Sub VWAP into the last bit of support, it looks like. Nothing crazy, right? But as it dropped into support, sub VWAP on ATCH, we got a nice push off of it, right? And that's what I'm saying when I look at these charts. What I was trying to say earlier in this webinar, which is I look at, like, if I get to a chart and it's gone from bottom left to the top right corner of my chart and of the range already, it's quite easy for me to say, all right, I have to wait for it to get back to here or to here, right? I hope that makes sense to you guys, but for me, this is what has kept me profitable trading day one moves, right? Day one gappers. This is how I trade day one gappers specifically, or reversals off of lows, right? Where if I'm short, and shorts are always up here, will I be covering, right? And then what's the goal? The goal is to sell to all the crappy traders that are going to wait until it gets through high of day to buy it and pre-market highs, okay? And the idea is I use all of the bad traders' volume and their sells, and that's where I sell. And if I can sell there, which I do, I can be profitable. And then it's all about good risk reward from those levels. Very basic for me. I like to keep it simple, and it's worked for me over time, and it works for my students. It helps reframe things very necessarily for a lot of people. When it gets to this area, for those who buy it, you're selling there. Okay. Or if I can work areas like this at times, right? I sell into VWAP, and then I sell into all these other areas that may get rejected. Right? Here's ATCH. Areas like this, you can see held. Areas like this, you can see held. So it's a different game, in other words. Margin for error, big deal for me, okay? Margin for error, for example. Right? This trade, you can see that big drop right now. See that? What just happened? But the idea is, if you did your job, you were already taking profits, right? And you've already de-risked the trade. And no matter what, you make money. There's a huge difference, I promise. Margin for error, okay, is highly, for me, dependent on my entry. Am I buying low enough at the end of the day? Does that make sense? And that goes across all my trades. I don't care what I'm trading. My swing trades, which I'm heavily a swing trader these days too, right? So, that's a big deal. Smash the like. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this little bit of extended webinar this morning. Once it goes down and the volume drops, is it still good to buy low when the volume is low? It depends. It depends on the setup. Listen, most of the time, if volume comes and goes away, at some point, it's going to go away completely, y'all. Remember this. All right? At some point, all of these moves, this is what I'm trying to tell you. And when they are done, when I say they, the company and your HC Wainwrights and your Maxims and the institutional banks and the algorithms, when they are done driving volume into the stock, it goes away. And you're left with what? Bag holders. A bunch of bag holders and a bunch of overhead supply and executed, exercised, converted shares to dump. Does that make sense? No real definitive green move on Cavill for now. No real volume in Cavill for now. Nothing pushing it up at the moment. Which is why I've just got a feeler out there at the moment. You know? Just a feeler. But yeah, once the volume's gone, it's gone. Okay, so in other words, I don't want to be around too long. Okay, third day surge, first green day bounce, 1, 2, 3, 4 day move, 5 day move, good. Especially if I know they already have dilution, they've already done offerings, and they're trying, maybe we can use those levels to kind of work off of and stuff like that. That's my issue on something like KAVL. Maybe they've executed and converted their shares in the $1.50s, and now they're just going to dump, right? So, this not quite as ideal as BNZI. Like I said, BNZI volume came in pre-market. A little bit different. But it doesn't matter. I don't mind giving these things a shot, right? I don't mind giving them a shot these days, as long as I keep seeing them work. And I'm trying different scenarios, right? So that's the idea at the moment. Sometimes these things can take a little while to work out, and sometimes they don't work at all, and I just have to cut. And that's the whole point. And the whole point of it, and this is what's beautiful, and this is the whole point of trading, my friends. The whole point of it is when it works, my risk reward looks like this, right? Over and over and over and over again. So even if I'm hitting half of them, 3/4 of them, maybe a quarter of them some months, maybe I'm only 10% some months in terms of my accuracy or how well they're working for me. All my losses look like this. You know what I'm saying? Like this, with the potential of this. And then obviously take profits, take profits, take profits. I'm not always going to maximize everything amazingly, but okay. Let's check out what else. Slower scan. Need to take note of that, by the way, as well. Definitely a slower scan at the moment. In my eyes. You can see SPY, what SPY's doing. You can see what overall markets have been doing. All I know is that everything that's made me successful trading these markets on day one moves, like day one gappers, swing trade ideas, driven by fundamentals and driven by doing what everyone doesn't do, right? And honestly, every good idea that I've had that has given me success has come from forging my own path, right? Everyone told me don't buy it under VWAP. That it's too weak. That's when it's weak and you don't buy it. Okay. Everyone. That's what I was told. Don't buy it, catch a falling knife. Don't dip buy under VWAP. Don't buy near lows. Like these are the things that I was told, at least. 1 second. I got to make sure I won't have to cut here. I love trading. You know, when you have a small position, it's always nice when things are weak. It's not working. If this were to have ripped, I would have wanted more size. I could put on more size right now, according to my risk reward, right? I could. But I'm just using discretion to not at the moment. And look at your questions. Okay. TGO holding a buck now. Third day surge idea, not the greatest, but it is there. Let's give it a little peek. Let's check out volume. The structure here. Yes, another candidate, I suppose, right? 60, buck 50, 120 mil, no mills. Green, red, I mean. Here's red, green, green, red. So yeah, similar idea, no doubt. Similar idea, no doubt. Risk idea for here is that 90-cent mark I was telling you about earlier, you guys. That would be kind of how I'd look at this if I'm going to be trying to stay in this trade and catch something, but thoughts on SGN first green day? Yeah, this was a nice ripper. Signing day sports. So here's another one where, yeah, could go holding up lows, higher lows for a minute, right? At the same time, has had a couple first green days already, right? For me, the best, and this year's been a little bit different. In this bull market, we'll see a lot of first green day bounces that you wouldn't think would have that much bounce in them that end up breaking out and stuff like that. But for me, I look at it like this. Okay, day one gapper, obviously red day, gave up most of its gains. Here's a first green day bounce already, right? And technically, I guess that would be third day surge too. But the volume didn't really come in beyond that. This is also first green day here, right? And technically right now, they're green. So interesting little thing going on. Don't hate it. Don't love it. Interesting. That's all I'll say. Risk, 25 cents. 5 cents risk here. in my eyes, if I'm trying to stay in this trade and have bigger picture risk. Profit taking 40, 50, 70, very basic into previous highs. So there's a setup there. I'm not saying there isn't. In this market, this is what I'm saying, that things like that can pay off. And what you have to do is test it, right? Find your risk ideas and test things, you guys, right? You don't need someone to tell you what to do all the time. I promise. You don't need someone to tell you what to do all the time. And the reason that you're probably sucking because you just need someone to tell you what to do. And those people that you've been listening to, unfortunately, have been telling you to do the wrong things. Okay? In my opinion. Okay. Smash a like, please. Make sure you're subscribed. We are dropping these lessons finally. Finally. TNON. Here's another example, right? Look at this. Oh, how ugly. But still, it's day one gapper. This was a day two gapper, if you remember. Okay, here's your here's your first red day technically, and these all close near lows. So this is like really wicked looking, really ugly. So you can see how clean these gap down days are. Here's a first green day bounce, even though it closed red, and then here's another green day bounce, even though it closed red. I mean, this thing is a ugly son of a gun. That's all I'll say. It's an ugly son of a gun. It's having a nice first green day right now. But in terms of big picture patterns for me, if I'm missing today's move, unless they've got some kind of fundamental reason to be moving right now, which I'm not sure that they do. If they PR'd, I don't see a PR. I'll miss a day like this. It's just not part of my setup from a big picture perspective. It did, however, pop pretty hard pre-market, you know, so somewhat interesting, I suppose, right? But for me, like right now, where everyone just like gets excited, that's like the top. That's where I should have already been selling if I'm trading setups like this anyways. And I wouldn't, okay? Here's just, if we're getting into nuance of big picture setups, this is ugly as shit to me. Like everything it ever does closes near lows, even when it's strong. Does that make sense? In other words, to me, I see a lot of gapping and it's some follow through, certainly every day that it likes to gap up, but it's going to close near its lows. So I look at this candle like this day, today, probably going to close in the fours. Okay. Could even end up going down to low fours and threes on a day like today. If volume's coming in to buy and then they're dumping. What are they doing? Let's look, because this one's been 1, 2, 3, 4, a couple weeks of action now. So they must have been doing something, right? So float I have is 2.86 million here. Okay. Look at the float here on scans. It was a micro float, remember? So it looks like they've dumped, 5 times what they originally had been post reverse split, which they did just prior to this move. This is a reverse split pump. This is what I was talking about. Okay. This is exactly what I've been talking about. How does this company do 40, 30 million shares, 10 million, 20 million shares, move this much and then keep closing near lows, right? Well, it was able to move this much because it was a micro float. And it kept closing near lows because they dumped shares. And they were dumping millions of shares. What's left? That now their current outstanding is 3 million. They've only got 1 million left on their ATM and 0.25 million shares left of and they withdrew an offering from Maxim. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyways, that's how I'm looking at this. I don't see this going to, the moon, personally. I look at this as bag holder central, and they've been dumping into it. But again, it looks like they're running out of shares to dump. So it looks like whatever shares that they had to dump have been dumped. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Any more questions? Do I place orders directly through TradingView? No. unless I, for some reason, have to, or I'm like, you know, if I have a choice, I will not. How's the 3K account? Right now, it's at 5,400 or 5,300, I want to say. Almost 5,400. And I'm trying to push it into the end of the year and push big account again. So we'll see. What else? Questions. Any UK trips planned for next year? Not yet. I'm in the middle of planning it, though. In the very middle of planning a UK, a class in the UK for everybody. So hopefully early next year. Hopefully early next year, you know? Yeah, Octo's pushing. Look at that reversal. Wawa. Weewa. Shit. Oh, I'd love to see that. That's nice. Right? Problem is buying here. Right? Problem is buying it now. So the cool thing is when you're rewired, I look at this and don't have a trade. So I don't have to sit here with FOMO like a lot of you are probably doing, right? Like, oh, I have to be in it. And like, it's going to, so like that instinct that it's going to go higher and it went through highs. I mean, I lived this for so long. Like I could not wait to buy it up there. And when I got a little more savvy, I'd be like, okay, well, I'll buy the high daybreak instead. And what I've done successfully over the last decade is take those ideas and fucking throw them completely out the window. I don't want to trade that. I don't want to trade the break and a retest. To me, the break and a retest is just another FOMO entry for a better trader. You're getting better, and if I'm going to trade any breakout, yeah, the retest is good, is a good spot. Okay. And then I can risk and cut and do what I need to do, but I don't like it at all personally. Okay. My career has been marked by, it started out like that, like anyone else, getting super amped to buy through highs a day. Right. And then it just became lower and lower. Then I was buying VWAP breaks, you know, I mean, eventually it came down to the point where I'm like, oh shit. Okay. The only way for me to make money is to buy down here somewhere, somehow, some way. So when these charts set up, like I said, and they go bottom left to top right, I have to figure out a way to sell up here when it breaks out. Why? Also think about this. If I had shares to dump, like let's check out Octo really fast. All right. Not too bad. Okay. Not too bad. They've got a bigger float. No, that's only 1.5, it says. Here they're saying 1.5. That's accurate. Okay. So at 31, they've got 25-cent warrants with 26,000 left. It's not that much, and they've been above that for a while. So there's not really much here on Octo. They're not too bad. Yet. Ugh, yeah. And there's a daily chart, by the way, that I'm just not trading this anyways today, personally. It's just not my pattern anyways. Personally, I just wouldn't trade that. They split, they ran post-split, they double bottom post-split, they broke out already in the twos. It's been going, right? Like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, green day. So what we're seeing right now is probably short squeeze, right? On an extended stock already. Really nice move. Oh, they did PR though, did they not? And they PR'd yesterday. But any more questions? If not, we are going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up this extended pre-market YouTube prep webinar. For those who enjoy, man, get into the pack. I do webinars like this every day. And then I have my 6 and 7 figure students doing webinars now as well, so that you get different points of views, because I have some students who are amazing at their own styles of trading in their own rights, but in the same vein. And it's just a really special community. You know, I love our communities. Love more of you in it. For those who can't afford it and are on YouTube to just get that free info, awesome. I love it. You know, this is as good of a free info as I promise that you can get. I'm not going to lead you astray in terms of if you're trying to be long small cap, which is an amazing, amazing, amazing place to go try to find edge, in my opinion. It's really difficult for most people because the information's so bad. And everyone's just telling you to do what I told you, what I'm trying to tell you not to do, right? Which is buy up here through highs, buy the breakouts, buy the test of the breakout, buy on the way to the breakout. And I'm trying to tell you that it's just not it, okay? It's just not it. It's not going, that if you've been, or if you're someone who maybe you've been struggling for years now, right? There's a reason. It gets so much easier when you do better areas, when you're trading from better areas with better ideas, with a knowledge of the fundamentals that are going on, understanding big picture setups here and how the volume comes in and out of play, and short sellers and institutional investors and how they dump, how they push stocks to these levels using algorithms and block trades, and they're trying to not influence price when volume comes in, all of these sorts of things. It makes a lot of the picture more clear. It actually becomes easier to trade when you have way more whys. The whys that I have when I trade are not lines on a chart. It's not just lines on a chart. It's just not. When it comes time to trade, it is. So it's actually the best system possible because it's simple. For me, it's simple, but I'm playing chess. So I play chess until I get to the trade, and then it's checkers. It's very easy. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. For most of you, it's the opposite. You're just playing checkers the whole damn time. When it goes through the highs, I'm going to buy it, and then I'm going to hold it or just add if it goes lower. Like, really dumb, right? There's no thinking. Well, what are these people doing? What's going to happen next? Who's going to do what next? Where do they want the price to get to? Who is they? What do they like to do? You know? Short sellers, understanding them, understanding retail traders, who, you know, the masses. My buddy Mike, Trade Like Mike, likes to say the masses are asses. He's correct. Okay. I speak in tongues. No, I'm just showing you exact truth. And I've insulted nobody. Unless you're Billy up here, then yeah, I'm insulting you. Yes, you suck at trading. And you can't convince me that anyone who buys up there consistently is consistently profitable. And you can just go on and fuck on off and go to a different stream. That's what's cool about this. But thank you for your 2 cents. There's exactly 0 speaking in tongues here. Okay. And if you think it's tongues, it's just because you don't know anything. All right, Bill. See you later. What else? What you guys got? Any actual questions? Do I use broker integration? I do, but I try to. That's only so basically my students can see entries and exits as I'm trading. Oh, I'm just, honestly, I don't really care. I've been doing this for a decade. I've literally had trolls for a decade, and I like messing with them sometimes. That's all. I think it's fun. It's pretty hard to get to me, you know. So what am I thinking with Cavill? Am I planning on to cut it if it doesn't have more volume or swing it? I plan on cutting it if volume doesn't come in. I plan on cutting it if it goes through my risk, essentially, is what if I plan on cutting it at this point. I have no problem literally just taking it off. I have zero problems doing stuff like that, but do I use any indicators besides VWAP? No. Nope. None of them I have found consistently work for small cap moves because they're such a small period of time. It's just a small period of time and they're very, very volatile. I want to kind of see what everyone's using. VWAP keeps it nice and simple for me. Do I do one-on-one mentorship? I do. Yep, I do. And I've got some of my students doing it as well now. Same thing. Scan for me right now is slow. I'm not planning on getting in the way of anything at the moment. What's a good substitute to the scanner I have? Honestly, from what I hear, Thinkorswim's Thinkorswim is fine. I think their scan's fine. You know, there's FinViz. Webull scan works just fine for me when I use Webull. You know, Webull scan in the morning seems to be just fine. One-on-one is included in the monthly sub, or that's more? It's definitely more. If one-on-one was included in the monthly sub, that would be the cheapest thing ever. That'd be the craziest. I would not be able to do that, unfortunately. Okay. My personal trainer, when I had one a year ago, was like $700 every couple sessions or whatever. I spoke to someone who was trying to find there are trading therapists. Did you know that? There are trading psychologists, actual ones that you can book appointments with. $500 to $2,000 an hour, you guys. $500 to $2,000 an hour for a trading psychologist. Isn't that crazy? What do I mean when I say don't trade off TradingView? I place my orders like that's from my Webull account. This is my Webull account. I place orders on the Webull account. This is just the broker integration. I don't know. I don't listen to the Stocks to Trade podcast. I have Trade Zero. I've tried every broker. I've got Cobra. I've got Schwab. Yeah, I've tried them all. Have I used trade ideas? No, I've only been using scans for a really long time. I've been using scans. I did flatten my Cavill right now, just looking at the daily. And I mean, honestly, it's holding up for now. But again, with a speculative position and with what it is, I don't really mind. I'm going to be checking off here in a second. I know it's always different, but how many trades do I place on average for a week? Totally dependent. Totally dependent. Anywhere from 0 to 20. You know, if it's a hot week and there's sector momentum, I may be long 10 stocks overnight one day. It just depends on what the markets are giving me. These days, it's been 1-2 positions at a time. A lot of swing ideas like third day surges, first green day bounces, reverse split pumps, trying to get ahead of the pumps, stuff like that has still been pretty much bread and butter for me this year. Which broker's cheapest when you're buying thousands of shares for the sub $1 stocks? Good question. Just make sure that whatever broker it is, they aren't charging you per share. Make sure it's not like IB per share or any of the brokers and you have per share. Trust me, I've paid thousands and thousands at times. Back in the day, I learned that lesson the hard way too. Am I live trading in the pack daily? Every day, every single day. And we do as many power hour preps as I possibly can as well. Do you have any ideas about MSS? What is that, a ticker? Is that a ticker? Third day surge. Idea forming there, it looks like. Potentially is what that looks like to me. Same sort of idea that we've been seeing this week, right? Same sort of idea. Kind of watch for these low ones to hold for me. Here's your one underneath, so I suppose somewhat interesting. I didn't see this one yesterday. Any thoughts on XPON first green day? I mean, it's gotten back to its one level of support that it, you know, very key level of support, at least for me when I'm looking at this chart, that it did try to bounce off of, but yeah, first green day. You can watch for first green day, I suppose, but this is a true bottom bouncer. Went 10 cents to 20 cents. Did it bounce at 10 cents? Yeah, it tried to bounce at 10 cents, I guess, already. Now it's sub 10, a lot of overhead volume, 1.6 billion shares it did, right? And then 400 million. Tough call there on XPON. Tough call, but if it's going to have a green day and have any sort of bounce for me, it should be doing it soon. And if I'm trading it from a swing idea, I'm using low sevens, if that makes sense. After the U.S. election, will we see the overall market correct itself? That's what I think. That's what I've been thinking for a while. That's what I've been thinking for a while now. Watch Cavill just rip now. Probably could have just sat on it. I don't. And it doesn't really matter, y'all, for me. Like, the longer you trade, the more you'll become numb to the fact that it's just... all I need are for my trades to look like this over and over and over and over again. Give myself good margin for error on my trades, have good macro ideas based off of good fundamental ideas, and things can work really, really well. Okay, y'all. Should I go or should I stay? Which one? You tell me. Also, our free chat, we got a free chat too. I don't know if I have a link to it or not. But I do free, I'd give my watch list out for free every single day. Every single day, I do my watch list for free. So all this stuff that I'm going over is in my watch list, my free fucking watch list. People pay like, people charge $100 a month for their watch list, you know. Stay. Okay, guys. I'll stay for a little while longer. If you smash the like, please. But if you're in the free room, let me see. I don't know if I have free room ready. Sorry, 1 second, everyone. Yeah. I push my watch list in the free Discord. So if you go, let me see. I'll get you guys there. Let's see. Right here, if you go to Wolfpack and you're in the free, and then you're in the Wolfpack, and then you go to watch lists. Right? And I go over the swing trades and whatever trades I'm taking and all of that good stuff too. So definitely check it out. TGL's third day. So when I'm trading backside move, when I'm not necessarily backside, but if I'm trading first green day bounces or third day surges, I keep it really, really basic. Price targets, right? Super basic. Okay. And you can look, I like to look at them as areas. I like to look at everything as an area, but right. So I'm taking profits into this area. I'm taking profits into this area up here as well, right? Okay. That's how I look at it anyways. Okay. This would be a single, like if I'm just looking for a single. And here's what's actually really cool for me. I'll actually use this. I'll use this as an example. If my trading's struggling and I'm finding that I'm being stopped out a lot, okay? In other words, I'm not necessarily hitting all my targets. I'm being stopped out a lot on my entries. I'll do little things to adjust. Like I will remove this from my price targets. Okay, that area. I'll take this area, cut it in half, and use this as my price targets. Right? So I would have taken profits at $1.10 and $1.20, and there's my whole trade. And if I'm nailing entry at $1 or sub $1, I can still make 10, 15, 20% there. Does that make sense? So I actually will use my price targets to aid my trading when I'm actually in a slump these days. And it's actually a trick that a lot of my students are using to great success. Okay. Stocks don't go straight up and straight down. And if you're trading from good levels of support, there are shorts covering there, you guys. There are dip buyers stepping in. There's some sort of supply, some sort of demand, usually speaking, right? So you're going to get a bounce. And for me, if I'm being stopped out too often, I just got to go back, look at my price targets, adjust my perspective. And what I like to do is I'll adjust these price targets down, right? To this being my second price target. It's arbitrary, but here's my first price target. And when I start saying to myself over and over again, and it doesn't take too many times to say this, it may be once or twice. Damn, I've sold too soon. Damn, I'm selling too soon. Then I've corrected course enough, and I can start correcting back the other way towards patience. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to y'all. Where would I? So in other words, yeah, TGL. It would depend. Am I in singles mode right now? Is it a singles market? Okay. Are we seeing these third day surges rip? How is the setup itself? Okay. And listen, if you err to the side of singles like this, instead of always looking for exits like this, you will see a bump up in your accuracy. You'll see a bump up in potentially your profitability, and then you can work from there. So that's how I like to do it. If my trading's struggling, I know I'm buying in areas where they bounce. So I have to readjust price targets, generally speaking, in that scenario. Very basic. Could I talk about Louis? Louis said, can I talk about the headspace that we go into after multiple losing trades that come after sort of a hot streak for like I was doing solid and then nothing, you were doing really solid and then nothing worked. Yeah, that's what happens. And what happens is what's working for you stops working. And if you don't stop doing that, you give back all the money you made from what worked. Does that make sense? Happens to me. Happens to me too. Happens to the best of us. This is part of profitability, actually, is going on runs and then figuring out how to keep that money. And really, for me, it's a rule of two, okay? So if I'm pressing a setup, then I lose twice in a row on that setup, 2 different days or whatever, maybe same day. But I take 2 in a row. I have to see it then work once or twice again for me to then come back off and trade that pattern. Does that make sense? So I can size down. Okay, I can size down, I can trade, I can stop trading the setup. And that really is the goal for me, okay, is to be very conscious of the fact that my biggest losses always come off the back of my biggest wins because I'm sized up the most in a good market. This is a fact. Always, always, always. And once I take those 1 or 2 big losses in a row, it's my job to stop. Does that make sense? It's just my job to stop and see it work again and then go hit it again, because the last thing I want to do is just give back gains like that. And it's a natural. It's super, super natural. And so if you're asking that question, you're actually probably in a good place, believe it or not. Okay. So now you have to objectively say, okay, what was working for me? Where did I make that money? How was that working? Is the setup still there or did it just go away for now? Right? All of that sort of stuff. If it went away for now, we size down, we adjust price targets like I mentioned. Okay. Does that make sense? But it's a good place to be in, my friend. Actually, it's a good place to be in. Okay. And I like to talk about it. I talk about it like a dragon, right? And that's what we do here. When my setups come, when reverse splits are in play, when bottom bouncers are in play, when sector momentum pops up, if day one gappers, gap and crap reversals are in play, and I've got my finger on the tab of the markets and things are good for me, that's when it is my job to take as much money from the markets as I can, right? Like a dragon, literally pillage and plunder every sector and every ticker that I can, knowing that they're all pumping. So get in with the pump, take the money, get out, okay? And then sit on it like a dragon. Take it back to your castle and lay on it until you're ready to go back out and plunder again. And really that's the game. Make money, keep money. Make money, keep money. And some years are better than others, right? But I can tell you it's not just every day hitting hard. Some markets, some months, but you just have to adapt. You have to adapt and let your results help you adapt. If you were winning and now you're taking big losses and you haven't changed anything in how you're trading, something else changed, right? So when something changes, it's not you, it's the markets or it's the patterns. And when the patterns change, if you don't change, you just lose money and everything that you worked for while you knew what was going on goes away. And that's natural, man. It still happens to me. And how well can you recognize that is happening to you? For me, I use that rule of 2. Okay. If I only had 3 setups, which would I choose? If I only had 3 setups, which would I choose? I would choose reverse split pump. I would choose third day surge and first green day bounce. In this market, those are the 3 that I would choose right now. What's funny is a lot of those end up being swing ideas, right? Especially in this market. Okay. Cavill still has me feeling some sort of way, just in that it is holding up. I think if it goes, maybe can go green one more time, right? Maybe get a push because it's not making new lows for now. That's key when I'm looking at these swing ideas. So again, this is something I could probably be sitting. I could even get a better entry right now if I want. So I'll kind of keep eyes on KAVL today, especially TGL is kind of doing its little thing over here too. And we'll see. To use stocks to trade breaking news. I don't even use it. I don't use STT at all. Their breaking news is no better than anyone else's news. In fact, sometimes it's even slower. And at least back when I used it years ago. And here's what you need to know about breaking news, by the way. If there's breaking news during the day, usually it's not even tradable. Okay. Usually intraday PRs, if there's like breaking news intraday, is not tradable personally. In fact, I really don't like intraday PRs. They end up being often really pumpy in nature in terms of price action. All you need to know is that if you have the right scanners or news feed, like the only important real news that you need to know comes out 30 minutes before the market open, 1 hour before the market open, an hour and a half before the market open, 2 hours before the market open. Anything pre-market on the half hour is when those PRs come out. And then after hours, right at market close, and then every subsequent 30 minutes after the market close for a few hours, maybe there are PRs there too. So for me, news, if you're going to be trading news, those are the only two times to be trading news: after hours and pre-market. And I think I know it's been super, super fruitful. It's the best day trades right now are pre-market and after hours. Okay. And then those are the day ones that we end up getting to at the market open that are tough to trade. Right. And then it's like, okay, but they're setting up for amazing day threes and first green day breaks. So how do I get I use Scans News too. I use their news feed. This is their news feed. Very basic. But I don't even look at this until I look at this pre-market, okay? So pre-market, I'll have this open, and every 30 minutes, like I said, that is when I'm checking to see what PRs are popping off. Look, we can even go through this morning's. Look. And yeah, of course, there will be some that aren't. But for the most part, most of the meaningful PRs pop on the half hour mark, right? Look, 6 a.m., 6:01, 6:02, 6:30, and there were some 39s and 40s. That's all right. 7, right? 777, 01, 02, 02. So closer to 7, right? And granted, yeah, there are PRs throughout the morning too. A lot of these are, just the BS and stuff like that. But like I said, the more meaningful ones generally pop at the half hour on the half hour. Look at 8 o'clock, right? See all these PRs drop at 8, right? 8:30, 9, right? That's right. 30 minutes before the market open. So if I had to pick between FinViz and Yahoo Finance, probably FinViz personally, but most of them are pulling the same information from the same places, Do I have any thoughts on how lower rates will affect the small cap market? I don't think it's going to affect small cap that much. Small cap's been lit this year already. Small cap's been running already. So I don't really, I don't see it having too much of an impact at the moment. All right, my friends. I'm sorry. I would love to literally do this all day and keep just answering questions all day. But I do have one-on-ones to get to today here in another 30 minutes. I've got some other lesson stuff that I need to create too today. I'm doing some filming for my pack people. Thanks, Justin, man. I'm glad this helped. If this is helping you guys, just make sure to smash the like. Go back on my videos, watch the lives. I'm going to be dropping a bunch of content going forward. So just make sure, like, subscribe. Appreciate the support on the channel. I'm going to try to pay you guys back with even more content as much as I can. We're doing some vlog style stuff so you can kind of get a peek into my life, because unlike most of these kids, I got 4 kids myself. Travel baseball, like in terms of how I balance life and trading and business, it's a little bit different than a lot of people out here who literally have no kids and no responsibilities and are just out here trading and living life, which I live vicariously through those people. Don't get me wrong. Some of my friends who are some of the best traders in the world at this point, young, single, or whatever, have fun. And I'm not hating on anyone. Those who know me, I'm not a hater. Like, I teach their own. That being said, just what it looks different, for a lot of us who have kids and we're parents and we're trying to change the lives of our kids, right, forever, and change our trajectory and maybe not have to live paycheck to paycheck and do all these things. That's where I came from, right? If you don't have kids yet, don't have them yet. You don't need to. You don't need to. I'm just kidding. They're the biggest blessing in my life. I grew up because of my kids. I trade because of my kids. I'm only trading because of my daughter, right? I'm only trading because my daughter came in to this world. And I was like, damn, how am I going to pay for this freaking little baby, precious baby girl, And it's like, and that was my second kid. And I'm like, I'm already paycheck to paycheck. I need to supplement my income while I finish school and stuff like that, And God, I never thought it would turn into what it turned into. But I became obsessed with this stuff, okay, back in 16. When I say obsessed, I mean, like a lot of you, completely obsessed. And then I spent every waking hour for the next year trying to figure out what the hell is going on here and how I can take these massive moves that happen and capitalize on them to the long side without having to expose myself to the unlimited risk of short selling. And I just always knew there's a way. These things are moving 100, 200, 300% a day. I only need to take 10, 15, 20, 30%. And then I have a lot of trades where I'm taking 50, 70% because these things move so much. So with the right perspective, and I think if you surround yourself with the right people, obviously you can cut into that learning curve. There's so much more. There are so many more resources now than when I started trading, but it's a mixed bag now because there's so much free shit. But what good is free shit if it's teaching you the wrong things? You couldn't pay me to relearn some of the stuff that I learned and paid to learn originally. All right. You couldn't pay me to teach me that, is what I'm trying to tell you. And there's a lot of stuff, I promise. There's a lot of stuff here that I see that they should be paying you to teach you that, because you are not going to make money from that, if that makes sense. That's how I feel. So hopefully some of this information will actually be actionable for you. Hopefully some of you end up with the pack. Hopefully some of you more dedicated ones I'll end up working with one-on-one, which to me has been the biggest eye-opener, in that it is, to me, the best way to get through to you guys individually, obviously, is to work with you one-on-one on your particular issues. And what I found is crazy is that same issues. Maybe someone can't cut losses quickly, right? And they don't know why. It'll take 10 or 15 or 20 different ways to 20 different people to make something make sense for them. So that's kind of what happens, is that you get a group of people together. Everyone's so different. We're wired so differently. Our fears and our emotions and everything is so different that it's really hard to just put cookie cutter shit out there that it's going to work for everyone, right? But I also know that the one-on-one work with all of you helps me help the group as a whole. So it's beautiful. I love it. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. So, I love you guys and gals. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Hopefully you got something from it. Hopefully it'll help you steer you in a different direction in terms of your trading, and help you realize, like, you got to play chess here. You want to be a good trader, you got to play chess, right? But I promise you, when my trading is best, it feels like checkers, if that makes sense, because it's not complicated. Right? The best trades feel like checkers, but you got to play chess for a long time for that to happen, if that makes sense. Okay? Fundamentals, technical analysis. Technical analysis matters. Fundamental analysis, if you're doing what we do here, it matters a lot, right? Macro stuff, the overall markets, it all matters, right? You got to put this all together, form a process for yourself, risk reward, margin for error on your trades. Why do I want to take areas? Why do I want to buy and have stocks immediately get slammed on me? Why do I even want to try joining? You know, why do I even try joining the action up there? Okay. It's a no-brainer for me, but. All right, my friends. Love you all. Stay safe. I'll catch you guys in chat. If you're my wolves, that was pretty much our webinar for the morning. So I'll catch you guys for sure for Power Hour Prep. The one-on-one schedule for my Lifetime Wolves will be, if it's not back up already, is going to be back up by this afternoon. And that's that. Okay. So one-on-ones we're rocking back on for the Lifetime people, for FTTC people that were already going. So that's sweet. Stay safe out there. All right. Stay safe. Put in the work. It's worth it. Okay. It's so fucking worth it. But be smart. Okay. Don't bang your head up against the wall for too long before you realize maybe I got to move in a different direction. Okay. If in other words, if every time you put your hand over the fire, it burns you, then it's dangerous. Does that make sense? And your strategy is dangerous and where you're trading is dangerous. If you can't cut losses quickly, physically, like if literally stocks are being slammed so fast and hard that you can't cut losses, okay, you're trading in the wrong areas, right? If when you take areas, it gets slammed immediately, you're trading in the wrong areas. If every time you buy, you're down 10% immediately, you're trading in the wrong areas, right? And the person who's telling you to keep trading those areas just wants your money. That's almost exclusively what's happening. So hopefully this helps some of you. Even if it helps one of you, that'll make me happy. All right. And I'll deal with the one or two wise asses along the way to get to the other ones of you that care, and hopefully it will help. So I love you guys all. Stay safe. Stay diligent. Put that fucking work in. You can do it. It's not rocket science. Okay. It's just a few extra steps per trade to avoid dangers and to find more meaning behind your trades, more why. Okay. Love you all. Stay safe. If you do want to join up with the pack, here is a QR code for you. I think the first 20 people get 20% off or some crap like that. Where'd you go? It's up here. Sorry, y'all. Disappeared. Whatever. We'll put some links down below. All right. Love you all. Stay safe. Catch you guys on Monday for the next pre-market prep and live session. And we'll catch you guys for a couple YouTube videos this week. So stay tuned. Later, guys.